one of the few regrets of my presidency, that the rancor and suspicion between the parties has gotten worse instead of better. There are a whole lot of folks in this chamber, good people, who would like to see more cooperation, would like to see a more elevated debate in Washington, but feel trapped by the imperatives of getting elected, by the noise coming out of your base. I know, you've told me. It's the worst kept secret in Washington. And a lot of you aren't enjoying being trapped in that kind of rancor.
Part of that rancor has to deal with race. The first black president of the United States will soon fade into history. Some, of course, would say that can't happen fast enough for them. Long before Barack Obama steps down, and even longer after he and this entire generation is gone, the country will be left with a true poser. What is the reality of the racial divide in this nation? Was this president to blame for making it deeper than ever before? And how will his presidency change America for the good and perhaps for the worst when it comes to social awareness and dealing with our differences? It's a heady topic. Let's at least begin the conversation. Welcome first, member of the Project 21 Black Leadership Network and host of Stacy on the Right at 97.1 FM News Talk KFTK in St. Louis, Missouri, Stacy Washington. Joined by the Daily Beast columnist who covers politics and race and culture, Barrett Holmes Pitner. I want to thank you both for joining us. Stacy, I want to get it right to you in a simple question. In your opinion, is Barack Obama responsible for the widening of the racial divide in America?
Yeah, there's been a lot of opportunities for this president to come out and talk about things that really matter to the Black community: the jobless rate, the fatherlessness rate, the amount of children who are growing up in homes that are poverty-stricken and receiving food stamps and SNAP benefits. And in each opportunity, the president has pivoted to his agenda and preferring to instead focus on immigration, illegal immigration, demonizing Americans on their treatment or supposed treatment of Muslims, and his obsessive just discussion centering on controlling guns, when the true issue in inner city communities is the lack of fatherlessness. And Barack Obama happens to be an excellent husband and father, and he has not once ever taken a step into that area and said, look, we've got to stop having children out of wedlock. We've got to start focusing on families. We've got to have parents teach their kids to read before they get to kindergarten. We've got to focus on families instead of disarming law-abiding Americans like myself, where I actually don't need the president to tell me what kind of gun or what kind of suppressor or what kind of ammunition I should be permitted to buy under the Second Amendment that shall not be infringed. I already know what I can have, and I don't need the president's comments on it.
Stacy, you make a very powerful case. Barrett, agree or disagree?
I disagree entirely with Stacy, and I don't think Obama has made our racial situation worse in America. I think more African Americans right now feel empowered to speak out on the issues that have been plaguing the African American community for a long time. Just because, race relations in America have been pretty bad for quite a long time. I think right now we are out there speaking about these issues. And Obama, sure, people could argue that he might have been able to address the African American community more directly, but he's the president of the United States. He's not the president of the African American community. And so when he goes out in front and says that Trayvon Martin could have been him, or this African American child who was gunned down by police or whatever, reminds him that there's a humanity with this demographic, with these people in the United States, and we need to respect that. We need to reassess how we structure our institutions and whatnot to make sure that we serve everybody equally and fairly. And I think that's the right approach to take it when your job is to govern all Americans and be respectful to everyone and all the sensitivities, while also acknowledging the historic levels of oppression that African Americans have faced in the United States for as long as we can remember.
Okay, I only have 2 minutes left here, and believe me, we're going to come back and do this again because we have opened up a lot of cans here. But let me get to this. Charlie Rangel said that the president has not changed the thinking of America. What I'm hearing here is some common ground from both of you, I think, and Stacy, to you first, that it is not necessarily the president's job to do this, that it is the job of the people that are involved at the ground level to change the racial divide and make it better. Yes?
Well, the same racial divide that brought us a black president and our first black attorney general, and now we have our second black attorney general, the same racial divide that elected a black president to the office twice, not just once, but twice, the same racial divide that brought us Oprah Winfrey and all of the other amazing people who are black, an enormous black middle class, an America that, while everyone's talking about race, is operating as the best place on the planet for a black person to be alive. I dare any of these protesters who feel so empowered to give the president a pass on his racial record, which has been abysmal, to go to any other country on this planet and achieve the same things that you can achieve here in America.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there because I've only got 60 seconds left. I want to give Barrett the same chance to come back in here. Barrett, does it not still come down to the people and not necessarily a president of any color?
I think it's a two-way street. Like, people need to have honest conversations with each other about the racial history of the United States, and the president, clearly he can influence and give an angle or whatever for people to look at. But yeah, we have to have our one-on-one conversations, be respectful. I think he ended his State of the Union address by talking about we need to have a discourse, and I think that we should condone that at the macro and the micro level, at the politics and one-on-one citizens. So yeah, it's up to everybody to confront these racial issues.
Of all colors, and I want to make that very clear. A recent Rasmussen Reports national telephone survey found only 20% of likely U.S. voters believe the president has brought Americans of different races closer together. But as we pointed out here, the president is only one individual. It has to come down to everybody at the ground level one way or another. They've got to make it happen. As I said, we got to come back and do this. We may have to do this for an hour one night because there's a lot of things we need to cover. Barrett Holmes Pitner, Stacy Washington, thank you so much for joining us and beginning this conversation. Breaking back with the single most important question regarding Powerball you or anyone else could be asked prior to the drawing. Next on The Hardline.